Hello everybody, it's Damon, Crazy Logics 007 on YouTube and Crazy Logics on the forums. And I've got a monitor here. Sorry about the glare. It is a Acer AL1916W, and when hooked up, this is all you'll get, is this display. It won't actually display, it's actually hooked up to the TV or the monitor or the computer sorry, that I'm recording this on. And every now and then it'll cycle through this showing the Acer, and it'll finally fire up. It's like it's struggling, it can't develop something, it can't do something. And so I kind of looked it up, and these monitors have caps that go bad in the power supply. That might be this one's issue. It could be on the display board not going to display 2. But it could also be the power supply, because it could not be supplying it correctly with the power, and then finally maybe it does get there every once in a while and will display. But I'm going to go ahead and unplug this. We're going to take it apart and see. So like I said, it's an Acer. I'll try to, there, and the model number AL1916W. So get this upside down here, and we're gonna have to take the pedestal off. And so that's just clipped on there with plastic clips and 4 screws, it looks like. Oh. Let's see if I can put a little bit more on there. There we go. Screws out. So thankfully there is a couple videos out there on doing this. I just wanted to give my take on it and show that part of the reason why I do electronics repair as a hobby is so I don't have to, so I can fix stuff like this for cheap, so I don't have to go out and spend $100 on a new monitor for my garage here. And then bam, that just comes off. Set that all out of the way. You know, I'm like the rest of you. I don't have $1 million laying around all the time to just go buy new stuff when something starts going wonky. And so learning about electronics, or anything for that matter, learning about repairing something, anything. If what you want to do is repair power tools, or if you want to, you know, because you like to do that, or you want to repair or restore old furniture so you can have nice real wood furniture instead of the pressed wood IKEA junk, that's cool too. Okay, so from what I understand, these are clipped together, and you can actually pop part of the clips off by just putting pressure up. Yeah, right. Let me get... This is just a scraper tool for like scraping gaskets and stuff. We'll spin this around. Alright, that popped free. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I pulled this way and up on this plastic bezel, and then used my thumbs to push in on the bottom part, and you see I've got the split apart there. Now you should be able to take a tool like this. Sometimes your opener tools that you use and stuff, and you should be able to just gently, well, I say that. Man. There we go. These are some strong clips. That's a good thing. There we go. I hope I ain't breaking them all. Just gonna keep Sounds like they're starting to pop now. Pottery. There we go. Normally if you get them all the way down the sides, the bottom will just kind of slip out. So we get this one all the way down the side. There it goes. Once that one side was free, let's flip it back over now. Oh, it won't come out without that screw out. I didn't notice that one. Oopsies. See it down here at the bottom? Doo-doo-doo. That would be keeping the bottom from doing. Don't forget that screw. It's different than all the others. Hey, that makes it a little easier, it seems. Alright. And it does not. They're just little bitty clips on the side, so yeah, they're just going to make a pop noise. I did not break them, so good deal. Alright. So, let's see if we can get all laid back out here. I'm going to try turning on my overhead light, if that doesn't glare too bad, because I'm old and crap and my eyesight's not perfect anymore. So we got a board. This is the button board. So we can hold this back and flick that out. That's nice and loose now. That looks like that's a pull out. I don't know, it does not have clips, so that's an insertion force and pull out, so I'd rather not mess with that. So we need to get back here to see if it's the power supply issue. This, I believe, is a CFL, compact fluorescent, not an LED. It's an older monitor, so it's going to have 4 of these, and they all have to be nice and taped down and lined up, so they're going to be easy to know where they go back into. And we'll take these screws out to try to get access here. And I see one that I can't see from looking at it at this angle, but I see it on my monitor from recording. Oh, bald head alert. If this is out of the way, it's kind of in there. I don't know if I want to. Alright, so that goes. Alright. So let's try taking the screws out of the power plug. And they're just like the screws that came out of here. So that's 6 screws in total like that. And these look like they have a slot underneath them where this can come off without these ports having to come out in a way, but it's going to have the little screws taken out. Ow. Just sliced my finger on some plastic. So you take the little screws out there. See if we can get them all out. I may fast forward through a bunch of this if it gets really boring or it takes a long time. Because there are videos out there on how to take these apart. I just skimmed through one. And it seems like everyone pointed towards power supply, so we're going to try the power supply. Now, neat to know that this is the button board for the buttons on front, the power and all that other stuff, but neat thing is it's got a couple plugs here. So this is probably a universal board in these Acers. And if this one had the extra room in it for speakers, that's probably where the speakers would plug in, and the speaker sound's coming through this ribbon cable. So good to know if you have a junk, if your button board happened to be bad and you had a junk one that didn't have speakers but you needed one for speakers, there's a good chance that it'd have the same board in it. So I'm gonna see. Hey, yeah, looky there. Can I get this to pop out? Oh, slipped it right out. That'll work. So these right here are inserts, threaded. It's called a VESA mounting or whatever. Allows you to, instead of setting it on the base, mount it like you would your TV on the wall kind of thing and stuff. So, oh hey, looky here. Okay, I'm going to turn this up sideways. This is glaringly obvious right off the bat. So if you do it and I kind of put a straight edge, and I'll show you these when I get them out. But this cap right here, huge swollen. Oh, there's another one that's swollen. And looking at it, yep, that one's swollen. So power supply caps, definitely swollen. So probably what that means is that this thing's trying to make power, but some of these caps are preventing it. Because these are output filter caps on this power supply. So here's 110 coming in. This should be a high voltage cap. It looks like it's in okay shape. This right here, let's see if I can get my little pointer, is a bridge rectifier. These are going to be safety capacitors or MOVs. Same with these, all these blue ones, either safety caps or MOVs for limiting current and stuff. That's what this says, F103, so it's probably a fusible resistor or something like that. I'm gonna have to get my glasses. I don't know where they're at. Oh, there. That right there is a few. Oh, that F103 is pointing to this. This is VAR 109. So that's a variac, or a variable, not a variac. Maybe it is called a variac. My terminology on all the little specialized may be wrong, but that's going to be a current limiter of some kind, based on temperature or something like that. This right here is the fuse. That is 3.15, and the fact that this was trying to power up is all good. So power's going to come in. It's probably going to have a little bit of filtering capacitors, maybe. It's going to get rectified with a bridge rectifier. No, sorry. Power's going to come in, have a little bit of filtering, go through the transformer, and get the voltage changed to what it needs to be, go through the rectifier and be smoothed by the cap, and it's going to be really high voltage. And then it's going to come over here into this section, and if you notice these slots in the board, those are to help with high voltage isolation. So this section is your mains. This is going to be the other high voltage processing to split it up into multi voltages. So there's still going to be isolation here. And so this transformer is going to be switched by this FET to give outputs, and it's going to have a feedback through this little opto circuit on this side from this side here. This feeds over into there. So this will switch on and off, and it's probably controlled by a chip underneath. We'll see how hard it is to take this sucker out. May have to take both boards out. Looks like we may have to. I don't know if that's going to just slide out when I unplug it. Those screws right there on the circuit board are the same as all the rest of the screws, which is always nice, but this one is a big old screw, different, and it's calling it out as ground on the circuit board here. So does that free it up? Yep. Okay, so notice I'm not poking my fingers down into these circuits. I'm doing that for a reason, and actually we probably ought to do this right now. Let's take your meter and put it on 200 volt AC, actually it would be DC, sorry, and go across the leads of this capacitor very carefully. And it is showing about, get this where you guys can see it, it's showing about 8.5 volts, so that's okay, we're good. You have to be careful on these input filter capacitors, because if they don't have a bleed off resistor, which I see a diode, but one of these MOVs or something like that might be doing the job to bleed it off. It can hold 120 to, actually it would be holding 100 and, about 180 volts on it, and it will zap you good. And if you live in another country where like the mains are 240 volt, it can hold upwards of over 300 volts when this is rated for this, and it will zap you real good if you get your finger in there. So be really careful. Remember, I'm not a professional. I just do this as a hobby. And hey, look, I can slide it to the side, and bam, there is the board. All right, I'm going to carefully set this over to the side for a second. So we need to look at this board. I'm kind of inspecting it. I don't see anything that looks bad. You know, that cap doesn't look like it's spilled its guts out or nothing. And I don't seem to see any caps or anything that's burnt. So I got a funny feeling it was just the power supply. So we're going to carefully set that over out of the way and bring the power supply in over here. Now I'm going to need a pencil, and I'm not going to replace that cap, and I may not replace this one. This is probably some kind of other thing. So anyway, I was describing the thing. This is a multi-tap transformer, and some of it's going to be the feedback, but it's going to feed the different, it's going to tap it off. It's going to take that higher voltage. This will switch and help regulate the voltages coming out, switch on and off, and it'll have a feedback through the optocoupler from this section. But these will be voltage regulators. It's also probably supplying a high enough voltage to go over here, where these are 40 T03. So these are transform or FETs, I'm assuming, and they're probably switching on and off and going through this transformer, which has got some safety caps, which provides the high voltage for the compact fluorescent bulbs. I'm not a 100% expert on TV or monitor power supplies, but that's standard switching type power supplies type stuff. They're all different, so I'd have to study this for a while to get a little more expert on it. But this looks like this board is somewhat universal. If you have a monitor like that and it's maybe a little newer, it might be different. It might have a different setup here to drive LED. So I don't know if this board can do both or not, because I see places where components and connectors could be different. So a lot of times they use a universal board and they can do things like that. But anyway, we definitely know that that cap is swollen like crazy. That cap is, and that cap is. So these have got to be the output filtering caps, and there's some output filtering coils. Everything else looks okay, so I'm going to do a little drawing. And we got a big one and we got a little one. And what I'm going to do is put a negative where I see the negatives. And its negative is right there, and this one's negative is right here, and this one's negative is right here, and that one's negative is right there. Alright, so now I know what those are, and this is 220 microfarad at 25 volt, and this one is 2200 microfarad, and I can't read the voltage, so we'll look. It looks like I can read a 0V here, and the rest of it's covered up in that compound. When we get it out of there, we'll see if we can tell. But that 0 may be 10 volts or maybe 100. We'll have to try to see. This other one is 1000 microfarad, and I have to get my eye loop. And a flashlight. So my flashlight's dead. Grab another one. See if it, oh, there we go. $10 volt on this one. So that leads me to believe that one may be 10 volt, but we'll try to look. So 10 volt. And we'll put a question mark for now on the voltage on that one. And these are both 1,000 microfarad at 25 volt. And that one is looks like 25 volt, 220 microfarad at 25 volt. So 220 microfarad at 25 volt. All right, so now we know how they're all orientated, and we know what their values are. This is ×2, except for this one, we got to get the voltage. So now, technically, I should be able to go in and desolder all these. We will get the soldering iron cranked up. And the desolder sucker, the solder sucker, that's what the word I was looking for. And somewhere, aha, and some desolder braid if I need it. So, I had a feeling that this was the problem with these, and I have depleted my cheapo capacitors. The only thing I got left in my drawers is high-end, excuse me, high-end Nichicon caps and stuff for amplifier repair. And so I went online and found a kit on Amazon with some cheapo, whole bunch of values, like 25 values, 1 microfarad to 2200 microfarad for TV, VC, D, it says chargers, adapters, electronic toys, 125 pieces. So I was specifically looking for TV cap set. So this is that probably should have everything I need here, but I like to keep cheapo sets for doing this stuff. You know, these lasted, gosh, that monitor is probably, I don't know, 6 to 10 years old. So if I can put some cheapos in, it lasts another 6 to 10 years. By that time, we'll probably have holograph projectors, or something else will have died and went wrong, or it may just, the caps may go bad again. I may replace them again. You can buy good ones, but I like to keep a bag of cheapos around for doing this, because you can buy used monitors at the electronic recycling center and stuff for $40 that have been tested and stuff. So, you know, putting high dollar capacitors into this, and a whole bunch of them, you know, starts getting you into the $10, $15 range. If you're getting really big sizes, maybe that one's $2 or $3. You know, these are going to be 75 cents or something like that a piece, blah, 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 blah. Because electrolytics are more expensive than the little ones. But if you're not ordering them in quantity, you know, low quantity, their price is considerably higher unless you're buying at least 10 or 50 or 100. And that's what I try to do with my high-end ones for amplifiers, to try to help keep the costs down. But having an assortment of not knowing what you're going to get into, this makes it kind of nice. These are not good for doing something that is valuable to you, as far as, you know, high-end equipment and stuff. But this is great for fixing, you know, just a cheap monitor like I've got that's old. So if I can get a few more years out of it, that's fine. It's great for fixing little chargers, like I said, electronic toys and stuff like that, stuff that you don't want to put a lot of money in. I think I got $5 or $6 in 125 pieces, which is insane. Like I said, if I end up having to 3 or 4 years down the road pull some more of these out and replace them again, you know, that would be a cheap investment. So you can get that. I do not recommend these for stuff that is really high-end important to you. This is a second monitor. I don't have to have it. It's just nice. And like I said, I needed some caps for some testing and some projects and stuff. I also use cheap caps like this for when I'm building prototypes that are going to get tore apart anyway, or that are not going to be the final thing. So if I end up messing these up, or blowing them, or cutting them off too short, and they're going to be trash or whatever, it's cheap. So it's affordable. So we'll open this up now that I've blathered on for hours. I got to get my scissors. Give me a minute. Okay, so out of that pack, I found a perfect match on the 2200 at 25 volt, these at 25 volt, the thousands, and this 2200 at 25. Now this one, the 2200 here, that we had the question on the voltage, I got a 25 volter, and it looks to be about the same size, so I say that's either a 25 volt, or if it's a 10 or a 16, that's going to be safe. You can always go higher voltage, never go lower voltage. This one was supposed to be 1000 microfarad at 10 volt, and I got 1000 microfarad at 16 volt. It looks to be about the same size, so it looks like we have some suitable replacements. Now we'll get to desoldering. Cue the fast forward. Came out, and you can see the bottom of that one, a little goofy, a little swollen itself. All right, get a little bit of fresh solder wick, clean up all these holes so the new ones go in real easy. Some of this can be a little hard sometimes because they're in a big ground plane, and you may need a hotter or bigger soldering iron. We're just trying to open up the holes. So we'll slide the new components in. We're just cleaning it up a little. Anywhere that it might be. Not so easy to get the old ones or the new ones back in. All right. Now we'll add a little bit of goo back in to hold all these in place, but let's make sure we got all our caps in the right spot. We got that one, that one, that one, that one, and these should be a matching pair. Yep. All right, so now we know what the negative is supposed to be. Oh, look, here on the board it's nice and labeled. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. That's why I wrote these down before I started pulling them. So it does kind of make it nice and easy. I can tell which side's what. I'm just going to go ahead and stick this through, and then I'm going to bend the legs out a little bit. son of a gun. Dropped my nippers. And then I'm going to give the board a good inspection of where I did all this work to make sure I didn't make any solder bridges or mess anything up. Looks pretty good. I'm going to give it a little squirt of isopropyl alcohol. Clean up my flux that's on there from the thing. And then use my hot air rework to dry it all off. Just scrubbed that rosin flux away, and we're letting this do its job to just help that evaporate real fast. Remember, the isopropyl alcohol needs to be 90% or greater. You don't want lots of water in it. That 70% stuff will not do because it doesn't get all the water evaporated off real easy. But what I get is 91, I believe. It's from Walmart. Yeah, it's 91. Oh, you can't see that. 91. There you go. And it does a adequate job. You can get like 100% or 99% or something like that, but you have to get it more through specialty stores. See, not near as common. Probably at a pharmacy more than just Walmart. Yeah. All right, let's clean up our mess here. Get everything out of the way. So there's all the caps we changed out. You get a little E6000. And re-adhere these caps there just a little bit. I like E6000. It's great glue and it's somewhat removable. This is just for vibration stuff. Times I'll add a little dab to the caps that didn't have it even before. That's real important in car audio and other things that are subject to a lot of vibration. Monitor, not so much, but other things would be. That stuff will take a little bit of time to dry. We should be able to get this in right here. Plug to slide in. There we go. And start putting this sucker back together. This video won't be that long, but we're coming up on an hour to fix this thing. From now, that's while videotaping, so taking time to explain stuff, hold stuff up for the camera, consider where I'm going to do an edit, think about things. But I will tell you this, recording definitely makes things take longer. But I enjoy it. I enjoy the live streams. I've done a couple of live streams and really enjoyed that. Where I cut myself. But I like to record because A, it catches any of my errors, makes me have to be, sometimes, you know, I don't understand every bit of all this stuff perfect. You know, I don't have a deep understanding. I'm not a electronics engineer by trade. And so sometimes just talking through it and saying what you're doing helps you understand it better, or helps you catch an error. Or sometimes you think you understand it and somebody in the comments will explain it to you better or correct you, and that's good too. Alright, I think that's all back together correctly. We're awfully brave, but I'm feeling pretty confident. That all snapped back together. This one little squirrely screw down at the bottom. Maybe. About to find out. Bam! I have. You can see my mouse moving around on there. Yay! It works. Turned off. Turn back on. This is where it used to not work. And bam! Fixed. Awesome. Now I don't have to buy another monitor, which is fantastic, and I can put this back in the computer and have a second monitor. Like and subscribe if this helped you, or if you learned something, or if you want to see some more of this. Like I said, my channel does a lot of car stereo amplifiers, but I fix anything and everything, especially if it's electronics. I at least try, because I enjoy electronics. And when I was a little kid, I wanted to be an electronics technician, and didn't quite 100% go that direction in my career, but close. And so now I'm having to go back and learn all the stuff without 100% of the formal schooling. But it saved me some money, and it works. Like I said, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do there, and I will see you next time. Appreciate you.